How y'all doing up there? How are you doing out there? Ooh, Lord, 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 Lord. I guess, I guess this is gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be some interesting shit. I think that we're in the most interesting time for politics. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna go over the Tucker Carlson's interview with Vladimir Putin. Man, if you're telling me that if you're telling me that this is all good, um, man, I guess I'm gonna read these two reports, and I guess we can have an open panel discussion about it if anybody wants. What's up, F Holiday? I'm really curious about this because my lieutenant and I just got finished talking about this shit, and we talk about politics and sports, but we said that we're in very interesting times, aren't we? Especially since there is potential powder kegs that can go off right now, and the top candidates for president, man, are scary. Whatever happened to actually grooming people to be in this stratosphere of power? I think that this is the stuff that's coming to bite us in the ass. Ultimately, ultimately, I think this shit is biting us in the ass. Let me see. From USA Today, DOJ report digs into Biden's mishandling classified documents, poor memory, five takeaways. Mm. President Joe Biden was careless in his handling of classified documents scattered across his Delaware residence, but federal investigators conclude he will avoid prosecution in part because of poor memory. Wow. That's according to long awaited Justice Department report released Thursday. Accusations of a legal double standard among the president's Republican opponents are bound to intensify, and the report focuses on memory issues could add to the anxiety about his health on the part of his Democratic allies. Special counsel Robert Hur, former Trump administrative official who led the investigation, said the evidence doesn't establish Biden's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and that charges were unwarranted based upon our consideration of the aggravated and and mitigating factor, excuse me. Biden, for his part, focused on the fact that he was clear of official wrongdoing in the report. The bottom line is the special counsel, in my case, decided to move against moving forward with any charges. Biden said on Thursday, this matter is now closed. Hmm. Yet the matter is far from over. Within the 345-page report were shocking revelations about the president, who has been hounded about his age. He and his supporters will find it hard to ignore them. Investigators were blunt in suggesting that Biden, 81 years old, wasn't mentally sharp during the interviews. The president's re-election campaign has been reportedly pushed back on concerns about his age. Here are the big takeaways. Get ready for this one, folks. Why didn't they pursue criminal charges? After a year-long probe, special counsel Robert Hurd found evidence that Biden willfully retained classified materials. Hurd concluded, nevertheless, that investigators do not believe this evidence is sufficient, as jurors would likely find reasonable doubt for one or more of several reasons. Biden's materials included marked classified documents about military and foreign policy in Afghanistan, notebooks containing Biden's handwritten entries about issues of national security and foreign policy implicating sensitive intelligence sources and methods. Yeah, weekend at Biden's. Hurd said he and his team ultimately concluded that no criminal charges were warranted, even if the Department of Justice policy did not foreclose criminal charges against a sitting president. One of the reasons it would be difficult to convict Biden is there might be a reasonable doubt as whether he knew he had the documented top secret material. Uh-oh. Another is that Biden's memory was significantly limited, which Hurd concluded would make it hard for a jury to convict beyond a reasonable doubt. It said in the report Biden couldn't recall when he was VP and son's death. Biden couldn't remember important details about his own life either, according to investigators. In his interview with our office, Mr. Biden's memory was worse. He did not remember when he was vice president. He did not remember even within several years when his son Beau died, the report said. Mm. Hurd hammered home how Biden exhibited diminished faculties and faulty memory in interviews, whether the federal investigators or author Mike Zorowitz, his ghostwriter. This couldn't come at a worse time for the president amongst ongoing concerns among voters about Biden's age and faculties. In the past couple of days, for instance, he has twice confused current European leaders with foreign leaders who died years or decades ago. Oh boy. Trump has also been dodged by the age and health questions on the trail as of late, but that didn't stop his allies from pouncing. If you're too senile to stand trial, then you're too senile to be president. Joe Biden is unfit to lead this nation. Alleges, what is this? Pfeiffer, spokesman of Make America Great Again, Inc., a pro Trump super PAC, said in a statement, ha ha ha, Team Biden bites back and reports claims. The White House, Biden campaign, Democrats at large have been very protective of the president when questions about his age and health arises. Those surrogate were quick to defend him on Thursday, citing his exhaustion during a very lengthy interview with Hurd's team during the right right after the October 7th Hamas terrorist attacks in Israel. The inappropriate criticisms of the president's memory are inaccurate, gratuitous, and grandiose. We told the special counsel this. I am Sams, a White House spokesman, that said in a statement, the White House also blasted her quips about Biden's memory, calling those portions inaccurate and inappropriate. The report uses highly prejudiced language to describe a commonplace occurrence among witnesses, a lack of recall of years old events, said Sams. Other Democrats and Biden allies cast the parts about the president's memory as an unnecessary. You sure you want this to be unnecessary? you think your mental faculties as a sitting president is not important? Okay, I'm just saying. I'm not complaining. Ooh. Some recalled how Hurd's comments reminded them of former FBI Director James Comey's criticisms of Hillary Clinton when he decided not to charge her in a classified documents case during the 2016 presidential campaign. What Robert Hurd did in his report with these irrelevant and extraneous remarks is the same thing DOJ used as the basis to fire James Comey in 2017, said Bradley P. Moss, an attorney who specializes in national security issues. 7 years later, 7 years later, they did it again, added seriously, unreal. What is Trump saying? Oh boy, you know this is going to be good. What's up, the Seattle Sideshow? JLJ504HD. What's up, brother man? Yes, Richard said he's stage 3 dementia. Jesus Christ. Former President Donald Trump did not mince words, eviscerating the DOJ's decision to forego charges against Biden. The Biden documents case is 100 times different and more severe than mine, Trump said in his Truth Social post. I did nothing wrong. What Biden did is outrageously criminal. The Republican frontrunner added how he sees this as another example of election interference, a two there we go. Can y'all hear me? The two cases are very different. Legal experts have said, with Biden voluntarily working with prosecutors while Trump defiantly refusing to do so. But that isn't expected to satisfy GOP critics who have for months been railing about a double standard being applied to Biden and his son Hunter, who faces criminal tax and gun charges. Uh, uh, uh. GOP Speaker Johnson calls Biden unfit. Almost immediately, GOP officials, current and former, cast the report in grim terms. Speaker Mike Johnson, in joint statement with House GOP leaders, said the report's revelation about the president's health are disturbing. A man too incapable of being held accountable for mishandling classified information is certainly unfit for the Oval Office, the statement said. Jesus Christ. I mean, wow. Give me a woo in the chat if you're still here. Former Representative Peter Murgeritz, a Michigan Republican who supported Trump's impeachment, said that beyond the 2024 election, the details outlined in the report raised grave concerns for Biden's role as commander in chief. This is both sad on a human level and frightening from a governing and national security standpoint. Who is now running for Senate in Michigan? Oh, yeah, by the way, folks, we don't talk about nothing but the gynocracy here, right? In many ways, the report will likely be cast a political indictment by conservatives, even if there won't be a legal one. Voluminous details will also ratchet up pressure on Biden to make more public appearances and to do more interviews. The president recently announced, for instance, he was skipping the traditional presidential Super Bowl interview. Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley, who has regularly made Biden and Trump's age an issue, once again said the president needs to be upfront with voters and take a mental competency test. I think Nikki Haley ought to put her competency out there first. But I'm just saying, Joe Biden can't remember major events in his life. That is sad. But it will be even sadder if we have a person in the White House who is not mentally up to an important job. Excuse me, who is not mentally up for the most important job in the world, Haley said. That is for. Let me see, do I have one more? Okay. I don't know what the hell's going on. What the hell's going on with my damn thing? If this is, this is very sad if it is. Sure. Okay, here we go. Another report from USA Today. Biden turns excuse me. Oh, what am I doing? Biden turns confrontational over alleged memory loss and DOJ report. How in the hell dare he? In Washington, President Joe Biden pushes back angrily Thursday at a special counsel report that portrayed him as an elderly man with diminished capabilities, including memory loss, saying it has no place in this report. My memory is fine, Biden said in a primetime address to the nation. Take a look at what I've done since becoming president. I wouldn't have used that statement, but I see you fighting back, old man. Biden's rebuttal came during previously unannounced remarks from the White House. Earlier Thursday, Robert Hur, special counsel for the Department of Justice, exonerated Biden from charges for possessing classified documents, but in part because of Biden's poor memory. Mm. For any extenuous commentary, they don't know what they're talking about, the 81-year-old Biden said. It has no place in this report. The bottom line is the matter is closed now. I wouldn't have used that statement, Seattle, man. I wouldn't have used that statement. That's like saying, look at what I've done since I blown up the gas station. Biden, visibly upset throughout his brief remarks, turned particularly emotional when addressing claims in Hurd's report that Biden could not even remember what year his son Beau died of cancer. Oh my God, I think I'm not the biggest political fan, but I kind of side with Biden right there because some things people will I won't say it's memory loss, but some things are very touchy, and that will be one of them. That will be one of them. And when people cope with things like that, there's some things in your brain that helps you deal with that. You don't kick a man while he's down about his kid. There's even a reference that I don't remember when my son died. Biden said choked up. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, I was asked the question. I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. Clenching his teeth, added, I don't need anybody to remind me when he passed away. Biden's critics seized on the special counsel's report as evidence that Biden is not fit for office. Age was already a major campaign liability ahead of 2024 election. Biden also rejected Hurd's conclusion that the president willfully retained declassified materials, but only spared him of charges because jurors would likely find reasonable doubt. Biden also, let me say, I read that already. I've seen the headlines since the report was released about my willful retention of documents. These assertions not only are misleading, they're just plain wrong, Biden said. Biden turned confrontational with the reporters after his prepared remarks about his memory loss. Only by some of you, Biden shot back when asked about whether the report will fuel additional concerns about his age before the election. That is your judgment. This is your judgment. This is not the judgment of the press, said Biden, responding to a second reporter's question about his concerns for his age. Minutes after defending his mental acuity, he mistakenly referred to the Egyptian president as the president of Mexico. That could happen sometimes. Biden was responding to reporters about questions about a hostage negotiation between Israel and Hamas and humanitarian assistance being allowed to the Gaza Strip. As you know, initially the president of Mexico, El Cid, did not want to open up the gates and allow humanitarian materials to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gates. Hmm. Well, I guess this is like what they said, the Ronald Reagan 2.0. 2.0, people, 2.0. If anybody want to come up and speak about it, speak their piece. I, for one, I know some things you got to go through reports, and I'm not a stranger to questioning and reporting, interviewing people. But But you gotta understand that deep wounds go deep. A lot of deep wounds go deep. I wouldn't kick the man while he's down, but I would have concerns, strong concerns. I really think that I really think this is what happens when you have a plutocracy of like a lot of old people running the country. You don't have a lot of trust for your young people. You don't have a lot of younger people who are groomed to the positions. Anybody wants to come up, they can. Um, I think this is interesting because I think this is the first time in a long time that we worry about the age of the sitting or potential new presidents. Hmm. I think that a lot of people may not consider how important things like this are to their day to day life. I really feel a little disturbed in a way. Really disturbed in a way because now you're showing in politics there is no rock they'll ever turn in history. Now you have sitting presidents who you're saying that their mental faculties and the Department of Justice is speaking out of this. Whew, boy. Mm-mm-mm. I think I'm really starting to think that a lot of these people are going to be exposed in the next few years, the next few months. I'm sorry, that a lot of these so-called leaders are going to be questioned and scrutinized, and in my personal opinion, rightfully so, because you have a lot of people's lives at risk. If you can't even remember certain things and certain outcomes, how can we trust you? And I think I'm really starting to think like, did they have a plan B, a plan C? Because if Homeboy was this old when he started, what do you think was supposed to be the outcome? Who do you think was supposed to take over the realm? Kamala's not going to do it. She was not going to do it. I hate to see how they really handle certain things. Like, imagine if we, God forbid, they have another, SEAL Team 6 event with a known terrorist or something. Is he going to be in the mental faculties to give the go ahead, or somebody else going to be like, hey, we got it? To have that much power and people are questioning your mental capabilities is truly something amazing to me. Truly something amazing. What do y'all think about the reports? What do y'all think about it? I mean, right now, what I think is that I don't care what side you're on in the aisle. I think we're in trouble. I think we're in trouble. I think that we're going about things in the complete other wrong way. I think we need to start grooming people young, while they're young, to take these positions. Hmm. We're at a time where hmm, we're treating the presidency of the United States like it's child's play. Wow. I'm so confused by this. I'm a little shocked at the poll about this. Oh, we can do it, but come on, man. What happened to respect for the office? I'm not saying Biden doesn't have a reason to be upset about questioning him about the death of his son. I think he was all right to be snappy about that shit. I know I would, but come on. But how much do we know of this to be factual? And how much do we think of it as a witch show? What's up, chaos? Because right now, I think it might be a little bit of a witch hunt on both sides of the aisle. Do I think that Biden has some faculties that are not as advanced? Yes. Hmm. I guess nobody's coming up, so hey, let me know what you think in the comments. I just had to get that one off my chest very quickly. I just think that hmm, so right now I'm just kind of like, hmm, hmm, hmm. I guess since so much coming up here, I'll end it early. I think this is one of those weird, weird times, man. Hmm, hmm. I'm just wondering, do we keep the guy with the mental faculties in office, or do we brush this shit over like the Justice Department did? Well, I'll wait till later or next time to speak more about this because I think this is going to be a very interesting case. And I think in the next few weeks, this is going to be brought up very earnestly. I think that both sides are trying to really throw mud and shade like no one else can. And I think you're going to have a very dangerous. I mean, if you want to come up, you can come up for a sec. If anybody wants to come up and talk about it, you greatly appreciate it. Trust me. I'm just here work at the desk. It's nice to get a desk in office for once. And no, I'm not the only one who's at the desk. I'm not always at the desk, but shit, it feels good to be at the desk in your own office. But man, uh, we got Namer. What's up, Namer?
Yeah, it was good. What's going on, man?
What's up?
Just woke up a while ago. It's almost 7 up here.
Oh yeah, good morning for you. Good night for us.
Yeah,
Technically morning, but
yeah. What's on your mind, man?
I don't know. We got my man F. Holiday said we got the Geriatric Leadership Olympics. We heard the
Geriatric.
Department of Justice
Y'all
doing
been
the
having this geriatric. Yeah, well, I can say y'all been having this geriatric shit for a very long time. I mean, look at Congress.
I mean, look at Reagan. I think
Of
what it
course, he had the
is,
excuse of Alzheimer's.
the
A lot of
excuse
people
of a
didn't
lot
realize
of.
it. He had, yeah, but then again, remember he had like Alzheimer's, and he showed some of the signs of it like by the beginning of his
Well,
second term.
well,
Robert Williams even cracked some jokes about him. You remember back in like one of his one man shows back in the '80s.
yeah.
And the fucked up part was he talked about like since you got Reagan, and I mentioned this before, and with Snowman, that opened up the door, and the next thing you know, the Republicans they got for their candidate Clint Eastwood, and the Democrats is Jack Nicholson. And just wait for the
Sure.
zingers.
I mean,
What's good,
it is what
Ezra?
it is. Good with it. It is what it is. What's good, Ezra?
What's going on, man? I've been watching a lot of stuff. I'm. It's interesting. It's just so much stuff to get into, especially with the political aspects of things in this country. Because today I was
Mm-hmm.
listening to the Supreme Court's hearing on Donald Trump being rejected from being into the being able to have a candidacy in the state of Colorado, right? And they were really great. Ketanji Jackson and I forgot what's his name. Damn, I can't believe I
Oh, a
forgot it.
black woman not gonna open up her mouth.
Yeah, no. What's his name? What's his name again? Black dude, Supreme Court
Oh,
judge.
you're talking about Clarence
Clarence
Thomas.
Thomas.
Yeah, they were both grilling the dude that represented the state of Colorado, and they were saying like the intent of how the framers tried to put in the Constitution. It wasn't based off of the president. It was based off of electoral races that happen in the state, like the Senate or the gubernatorial race or what have you, right? And they were trying to say, well, that's not necessarily true, whoop-de-whoop. And they were like, well, it leaves, the way the framers put it, left a lot of ambiguity. So you can't just say, oh, this was they're basically what they're saying is what they did was unconstitutional because it's only for the state, not for the country in of itself, right? For presidential races. But
Oh, so this was only for state level, not national level.
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And they said it's too
Which people?
ambiguous. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying they said it's too vague to interpret it to mean otherwise, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna lie to you. I even if you're not a Trump guy, you have to like the way that he's fighting. Like this man's a fighter. You need people like that in the office. Like I don't care what you say. And but the thing with Reagan is he still had people around him that, and then he was in his second term as well, as when his cognitive abilities started to like deteriorate. That was when he was like in his last years, right? Even though honestly to me he's not. I'm conservative. I'm not a big fan of Reagan because I didn't like if you look back at a lot of the things he did, especially, I mean, no, we're not even talking about the crack era, for the fact that he took a lot of the extracurricular programs out of schools, right? And he also he cut bills, he cut funding for people with mental health issues and what have you. That's why we have such a plethora of people run, especially in the metropolitan areas, that are undiagnosed with mental problems, and it's wreaking havoc on society, American society, that is. So
Oh yeah,
that stems.
and that's my parents hated his ass because you couldn't put on your taxes that you got your kids in private school, and my brother and I were in private school during that time, and he got rid of
Mm,
that shit, and that hurt a lot of his policies were very very antagonistic towards black people, and not
agreed.
just black people, but just not mostly black people. I'll say that, but also
Of people
also
trying to be mobile, right? Can you guys hear me?
yeah, and it was like I was saying, it was against black people directly and against people trying to get the American dream the legitimate way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's got to fight because
Good evening,
I,
Howard.
I've told people I don't really like censorship because even if even if you have censorship, you should still have the ability to debunk foolishness. And I think that because we became so soft and so lazy to debunk this shit, we want everybody and their mama to basically pander.
Yeah, I don't. I, America, man, the left leaning policies, and the irony is that the left are always were allegedly the advocates of free speech. Like, we believe in the bully pulpit instead of addressing things on the pulpit, right? So I don't know. Oh, like, for example, and hope I gotta finish watching the interview with uh, uh Vladimir Putin, but people are saying that allegedly there are people. Oh, well, here's the thing: Hillary Clinton got on Tucker Carlson, calling him a useful idiot for going over to Russia to interview Putin. But it's like people were saying, especially I was watching Valuetainment today, and they were saying how it was like, well, Barbara Walters in the early 2000s, I believe, if I'm not, I think it was the early 2000s or late 90s. She interviewed, oh, I think it was earlier than that, actually. She interviewed Fidel Castro. No one had an issue with that, right? And
Yeah.
the the point being is we've become so dogmatic in our approach where anything that challenges our reality, we just have to crush it. Or it's like, oh no, it's we castigate it as something that's just evil. And the irony is that I just bought 3 books to read a book a month. I just bought 1984, I bought Brave New World, and I bought Fahrenheit 451. I read 1984 a while back, but it's been years though. But I'm gonna read Fahrenheit 451 again. And if people know about that book, it's more or less the summary about what happens in the future of people just burning books and just to keep away knowledge and the aftermath and the after effects of that, right? So in a way, you don't have to burn the books because the books will always be there, but we're burning the aptitude or the ability to challenge what you think. Like people say, I forgot. I just saw this quote. Somebody said, "It's not good enough to teach your children how to read, but you also have to teach them to challenge what they're reading as well."
and how to
I
think.
think that's the ultimate right there.
After I got
Is
a
that
question for you.
when hold on? I think
Right.
that's one of the issues right there is that we don't want to question. We want to fall in line, and
Mm.
partially that's being that's really because of our lazy outlook of life. And when we go through this shit and we have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and actually extend ourselves with some type of worthiness to actually be judgmental, some type of validity, and on top of that, some type of mental aptitude. Why am I being told to look left when everybody's looking right? Why am I being told? Why is everybody being told to look left? That's when I should be looking right. Shout out to Electrician for the $7 hub for the cigar box fund. And
Ooh, yeah.
and I think that it's very fundamental. You should have the book and you should also have the audible. You should be able to know how to, you know, enunciate and pronounce words properly. You should get the feel of things. You should be able to convey yourselves. And I think that we live in a world where plenty of this shit is just, hold on. And I think that we don't teach our children how to challenge this. That's why we're making pretty good village idiots, if you ask me. What's your thanks? What's your thoughts?
Could you repeat that last
Go out for a
part?
moment.
No, I said instead of making well thought of children, I think we're just making pretty good village idiots to get along, gang.
That
Instead
is
of
something I can relate to, actually. I mean, coming from the developing world and coming from countries, having lived in nations where you're not allowed to, free thinking is not tolerated. When you live in an authoritarian, you live in like in an absolute monarchy or an authoritarian state, especially one party ones, they try to police free speech or thought for that matter. And oftentimes they're all more on the right, but you have those on the left. So oftentimes we're told you can read this and third, but keep your head down. Don't talk to anybody. Because sometimes, some the next person you're talking to could be an informant or a member of secret police, and you're going to be tied up. If anybody's familiar with the YouTube channel, the Caspian Report, the main proprietor of it, Shervan, who's from Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan is an authoritarian state, former Soviet republic and whatnot. But
You sound a little far away. Could you speak a little bit closer?
I'm on my Bluetooth.
Because you
Can
said
you hear me
something
now?
that's a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was trying to
I
hear what you were
said,
saying.
yeah, I said there's a gentleman named Shervan who is the proprietor and operator of a YouTube channel called the Caspian Report, which delves into geopolitics at the international level. Now he's based in Azerbaijan, and he talks about, like, as a journalist, you have to be careful while living in Azerbaijan because it's still an authoritarian state. It's a one-party state. They have dynastic rule there. Gesundheit.
thank
And
you.
yeah, I don't know. Coming from places like that, you understand that sometimes you live in places where there is the illusion of freedom, but people will tell you, no, we're not really free. We're not allowed to think. So when you come to certain places where there's actual democracy, I think it's precious and you got to hold on.
Yeah, man.
Farm for 1984. But have you read the Farm?
Have I read which one?
Animal Farm. You got those.
Oh no, yeah. I've
Farm.
read that. I read Animal Farm.
Yeah, because that's too. That's you have to read that as well as that book along with 1984 go hand in hand when you think about it, especially what Orwell was talking about.
Yeah.
And if you ever watched his the documentary about his final interview,
Orwell?
he foresaw a lot of things. Orwell, George Orwell. He had a documentary about his life.
About his documentary
And there
about
was
his
a-
life. Yeah, I knew he grew up in
Yeah, and
I think it was India he grew up in. I know he grew up.
no. He actually spent time as an officer in Burma.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, I knew it was Asia. I knew it was some part of Asia.
Yeah, but he didn't grow up there. He was like, I believe, he was in the military as a young man, as an officer, as a commissioned officer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But he did fight in the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s.
Mm.
In fact, if you want to talk about freedom of speech and freedom of thought, look at the 1950s with the Red Scare.
Oh yeah, what's his
Senator
name?
Joe McCarthy.
McCarthy.
Joe McCarthy of Wisconsin, Republican.
Yeah.
Senator Joe McCarthy of Wisconsin, who was Republican, going head to head with newscaster Edward R. Murrow. And Murrow kept explaining the importance of free speech and freedom of thought, and not to be caught up in fear, because the Red Scare was sometimes used to check those who were liberal minded, as accusing them of being communists. I remember there was a movie called I forgot there was a movie with Robert De Niro about the Hollywood blacklist, about like those in Hollywood who were persecuted and blacklisted for suspected communistic or socialist activities.
Yeah.
It was a fucking witch hunt at that time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I was.
So freedom of thought is precious, but both sides will tell you, there's like left wing and right wing forms of political correctness as well, because both sides are trying to define what is acceptable speech and what is not acceptable speech, like the term hate speech.
Yeah. If you don't agree with what I say, you're a
freedom of
sex
speech and there's criminal speech.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nowadays, man. Oh my God, you're sexist.
I mean, there's some people who want to do away with the whole. There's some people who say like some people think they have the right to say whatever the fuck they want. I said, yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you want, but understand that doesn't mean you have the right to go out and harass somebody, because there are
Well, you can
laws
say
against
what you
harassment.
want. You also got to deal with you just got to deal with the consequences of it as well.
Yeah, own up to what you said. Some people think freedom of speech, free made free. I've heard. I remember. There's a Canadian intellectual who's also a lesbian, and she's Muslim. She's got a book about she's had some books about. She's a devout Muslim, but she also has books where she critiques certain things. Hell, she even quotes verses of the Quran where it says, you have to be self-critical. But she confronted a person who said, like, you said I deserve this, that, and the third. Why is that? It's just, it's just freedom of speech. Politics, freedom of speech. They were trying to sidestep. They weren't trying to avoid accountability for what they said. And let me give you an example of like political correctness from the right. The late Senator John McCain. Can we agree he was a POW? He was a prisoner of war in Vietnam, correct?
Yep.
Unfortunately, there's some, especially on the right, Republican senators who say, no, he was not. He was a captured hero. What? Why are we trying to redefine terms? He was a people.
You were talking about John
Like
McCain?
if I said somebody was, John McCain. If I said somebody was killed in action, you're gonna say, no, he was a fallen hero. He was killed in action. If somebody is MIA, are we gonna say he was missing in action, or are we gonna say he disappeared? His status, or we're gonna say status unknown. You see how it is? I mean, George Carlin even talked about, this whole thing about people taking the language and trying to redefine terms. instead of calling it for what it is. They try to say things like this. They're trying to not
Well,
hurt the
that's part
person's
of
feelings. Like
politics.
if you're deaf, yeah. If you're deaf, you're deaf. We don't say you're audially impaired. If you're blind as a bat. We don't say visually impaired. Now there are people who are legally blind or have visual problems or have vision problems. That's understandable. But blindness is blindness. Now there's various degrees of it we can agree with. I mean, ophthalmologists can explain that for us. That's not doctors or eye specialists, in case anybody's wondering what that is. But the terminology is the terminology. We have to be honest and frank with these things. But some people just want to, just put a spin on things.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, that's.
Oh, not
Go ahead.
I was saying when they say history is written by the victors.
Oh yeah, that's a different case of it because you got to think about it. That's politics in its way. If you could change the wording, you're going to change the meaning. You can change the meaning. You can change everything.
It's funny you say that.
And think about it.
If you remember the movie Braveheart, y'all
Yeah.
remember Braveheart, the movie?
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, Robert the Bruce was the narrator throughout it. And at the beginning of the movie, he said, "I'm here to tell the story of William Wallace, and I know many people will call me a liar. Many will call me, I know." He said, "Many people will call me a liar. But then again, history is written by those who hung heroes." Meaning, the only thing people knew was what the British narrative of William Wallace's story was, not according to the Scots.
I mean,
Or
think
somebody
about
once
it.
said, "Until the lion learns how to write, until the
I
lion learns how to write,
want you
all
to think
stories will
about
be
this.
told by the hunter."
I want you to think about this. Was Nat Turner looked at as an American hero?
Hell no.
I've done the most
Nick Parker
American thing.
got blacklisted as a result.
I've done the most American thing you can ever do. See, we can make a bunch of slavery movies, but what happens if you make one that fights? Where do you fight back? Hmm.
The closest I can recall was
Yeah.
was it the second episode of
Movie
Roots
where you're
when they
not the
had the
victim.
mutiny on the ship?
Yeah.
When you're not the victim, when you can actually fight back against your oppressors, how far will you get in Hollywood?
Nope. I just think. Oh, I meant to say this too with that Tucker Carlson interview. There are countries in the EU that want to sanction him, particularly Belgium and other countries and what have you. So, to me, I think that this is a historical turning point in this country. They said it's like 10,000 not immigrants, illegal, undocumented people coming to this country. It was like from December, they said all of December, it was like 10,000 people a day. Like they said some people, even now, they said there's Chinese immigrants that are coming over and they figured out how to do it through TikTok. So they'll go through first and then go to like Nicaragua or go to another South American country and then like
Central
traverse.
American, what you mean?
Huh?
You said Nicaragua. Nicaragua is Central America.
Yes. Yeah.
They gotta go through Central America, not Southern America.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot how they labeled it, but yeah, that's one of the countries that they stop at to get through America. But they were saying like, oh, people, they interviewed them like, how did you learn how to do all of this? They were like, oh, through TikTok. Like, but they're paying
Were they
them.
saying this in Chinese or were they speaking Spanish?
No, this was Chinese immigrants coming over. And
no, when
then
they conversed, when they were asked these questions, did they respond in Chinese or were they being
Chinese,
interviewed?
the ones that
Okay,
learned it
so
over TikTok, Chinese. But they were
okay,
showing
so it's the Chinese TikTok they were using, not the American TikTok. Because remember, the Chinese version, if you look at the Chinese version of TikTok, it's complete opposite of what you see on the American version. This is
Oh
how they
yeah.
control the algorithm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So,
Continue, sir.
so they were getting over the country. And see, people never talk about that as being a national security risk.
Ooh, yeah.
China could literally send spies over here just to test your ass.
And they
Skills.
have.
Oh, they have. They You think they won't?
You would be surprised
And I mean,
how many countries have their own espionage networks within the United States,
yeah, it's called all of them.
as well as in Europe and other countries. Everybody's spying on everybody here.
It's called all of them. Everybody spies. We spy on Israel. Israel spies on us.
Oh,
But that's our
that
ally.
is
But that's
In geopolitics, there are no long-term allies, just long-term goals.
facts.
yeah.
So
We're just friends of
Word of
circumstance.
advice
That's
to a
it.
lot of people here. Word of advice to a lot of people here. Just to go off topic a bit.
We're just friends of
If you
circumstance.
got,
That's all.
yeah, friends of circumstances. By the way, folks, if you're dealing with stomach acid and you don't have any Pepto Bismol, you can make some at home. All you do is just get a glass of water and you take a tablespoon of baking soda. That's alkaline water right there. That'll neutralize the stomach acid.
I want to ask you guys a question. I understand Trump does, wants to get his term. He wants his fair day in court, so to speak. But if there was ever a time, country outside of 2008, to me, this is like one of the worst times to be president, like entering in, as an administration. Like
Well, he
the
did this to protect his ass.
huh?
Well,
Remember, he's dealing with litigation and legal around. He's got court cases to deal with. So he figured, hey, if I can get into the White House, that will protect me or some shit like that. So he's desperately trying to get back in. But then again, a lot of Republicans told him, hey, after this shit, after what happened with January 6th, 2021, I'm sure a lot of them are saying, after the shit he did to us, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of Republicans who resent him anyway, but they understand he galvanizes the public in such a way. I mean, have you ever read about, dark charisma and shit?
Yeah.
no.
That dark charisma and shit. And I can understand the Hitler comparisons, but a charismatic leader who just has a way of
People
saying something. He's bombastic and shit like that. Huh?
people have said that about Stalin too. I mean, there's going to be a lot of colloquialisms relative to the culture. So what you consider as charismatic might be different in another part of the world, right? People say Fidel Castro was very charismatic as well, even though if you ask the average Cuban that lives in America, they can't stand his ass.
They
But
couldn't stand his ass. They hated Che Guevara as well, even though he's Argentinian. He was Argentinian and asthmatic too. If you ever seen the two-part movie with Benicio del Toro portrays Che Guevara,
no, I'm gonna put that on my to-do list. I'm looking right now.
oh man, you just see the Benicio del Toro did a very interesting, especially his portrayal of having an asthma attack. There were times because Che Guevara was asthmatic. A lot of people didn't know that, and the asthma attacks were just horrible for him, especially out in the jungle. But it's all in Spanish, however. Understand it's in Spanish, so having a Puerto Rican portray an Argentinian among Cubans, not an easy feat. But that dark charisma. I remember watching a documentary. There was this YouTube channel I followed. They had this documentary of where they saw the relationship and the animosity between Stalin and Hitler. And y'all hear me?
No, yeah, I'm looking up the movie that as you're telling me.
Okay. But anyway, there was a documentary I watched. It was talking about the comparisons between Hitler and Stalin. Did you know that they were one thing that, during when they first interacted with each other, this is before Operation Barbarossa that caused the Russians to, switch to the Allies. Hitler, because Nazis had this like pseudoscience thing about Aryanism and whatnot, they were trying to figure out what is Stalin, what he was.
He was Gregorian. I mean, if you
No,
look at, he looked like he could be related to Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
He has a lot of Asiatic
no,
features.
Yeah.
no. Understand something. Stalin, first of all, Stalin was a short guy. He was like 5'6", and his right arm was shorter than his left due to an accident. But people forget that he survived a smallpox epidemic that left him disease scarred. That's why his face was the way it was. Not to mention he was born to an abusive alcoholic father. But here's the thing: Stalin was not his real name. That was an alias.
True.
Sosa, as he was affectionately called by his fellow communists. First of all, he was neither Jewish nor Slavic. He was not Slavic. And
He was
Hitler was
more.
trying to figure out, is this man a Slav? Because he's a Russian, right? This guy's Slav or Jewish? What is he? Or is he Aryan? They looked up and said, actually he's Aryan. No, he's not Aryan. He was Caucasian. I mean, Joseph Stalin was born Yosef Dugashvili. He was an ethnic Georgian born in the city of Gori in central Georgia. A Caucasian through and through.
Yeah.
From the Caucasus
fact,
Mountains, he is from.
He was Georgian. I mean, hell, you look at Lenin. Lenin was not an ethnic Russian purely. He was of mixed heritage. He was Finno-Ugric with a little bit of Swedish, Finnish, Russian Jew, and then some. I mean, his last name was actually what was it? Valuev, I think was him. Yeah.
Yeah, and the irony is Stalin wasn't the smartest, nor people didn't consider him to be of leader material.
He was the crappiest. He was the
Stalin.
crappiest.
Yeah, out of all the followers of Lenin,
Yeah.
Same thing
He
with
took out
Saddam.
Trotsky.
Saddam was the strong guy. He was the strong
Saddam
guy.
was also Saddam was also a bit of a germaphobe, but then again, between his two sons, the one you had to be afraid of was the second son, Qusay, not Uday. Uday was a maniac, but Qusay was all business, and that dude was not fucking around.
Uday was a sociopath.
A sociopath, narcissistic sociopath, whatever you know. If you read the books by this one Kurdish individual, West author, he was used as a body double for Qusay, except for Uday. He talked about what life was like at the time under Saddam as a body double for Uday. Scary ass shit, man. They were paranoid about assassinations. That's why they had body doubles. Saddam had taste testers for him whenever he had his meals prepared. Gaddafi was a hypochondriac.
He didn't like perfumes and colognes.
No, not really. In the case of Saddam, he valued cleanliness. And you read the stories of the lives of a certain strong men and dictators and whatnot, you realize, ooh, these guys are saying, hey, hell, you should have seen the lives of many African leaders back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. Look what Mabuto did to the DRC.
Yeah, man, it's some interesting times. Oh boy, it's just I'm just curious as to how the next 8 months of politics and geopolitics is going to be in this country.
My thing is this. You have two men right now vying for the presidency, the incumbent and the former who's trying to get back in. A lot can happen in those 8 months. There's no guarantee that either man, considering both of them are now senior citizens and who've had the AARP code. What's the card called again? Is it AARP? How do you pronounce it?
It's AARP. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, both of them have had their AARP cards for at least a decade now.
For real.
They're supposed to get it like a 65 or 60. How old do you have to be to get your AARP card?
I think it's 65.
All right, so something like that. So most of them you got two men who've had the AARP code for a long time. They're senior citizens. How do we know they'll live to see November? Either of them.
True, so true.
They could take the bucket at any time. I mean, never mind. I mean, you guys might see Biden, fall every once in a while, but then again, he has dementia and shit, but he's still coherent.
A 2-year-old a 2-year-old can be coherent given the right day.
Oh no! You ever see? You should see. Biden has a temper. Behind closed doors, he's known to just go off on people, get the ramble and everything. He's like,
yeah, because he probably needs.
All you gotta do is say the wrong thing, piss him off, and he's focused, and that's when he brings back. That's when he's all focused. Like, what the hell did you just say, dude? It hit your ass right then and there.
And people are talking about Michelle trying to. They're like, oh, Michelle should run. Michelle, first of all, technically she can't run. It's too late for her to run. And lastly, it's like,
wait,
okay, do you? Huh?
How old is she?
Oh, I'm not sure, but it's not about how her age is. It's more or less like it's too late. You have to be in the running since the year before or prior to get into the DNC. Yeah. They were saying, "Oh, Gavin,
excuse me,
bless you." They were saying, "Oh, Gavin Newsom should run and have Michelle as his running mate." And I'm like, Gavin Newsom, and I love California. I love it. But Gavin Newsom, really?
Gavin came to make his own Gavin.
Who else would you have? Who else would you rather have?
Kennedy. What's his name? Robert Kennedy. What's his name? Robert Kennedy.
RFK Jr.
Yeah, he was running. I don't know if he's running still, but he was running as a. I don't know if he was running independent. Yeah, but he is a part of. But he is a senator.
He's a disruptor, but I'm sure they're gonna try to
And he's
box him out.
He's anti the jab, so.
And
he doesn't like the jab.
Well, I don't blame you for being anti the jab, but then again, let's be smart about this shit.
You don't like the jab? Oh no.
Yeah, that's
a no. I just got tested recently, came back negative. I mean,
I don't
Am
like
I
the
wrong
people
for
who
saying
act like that.
I'm not vaccinated, first of all?
No, no.
Especially considering we're just asking, especially because I have too many questions about when this come out, this, that, and third. And you even want to talk to the pharmaceutical. You want to talk to somebody like, like Dr. Dunbar, and if they were to really, or like Nicole Ali, yeah, they can break it down for us. But you got to understand, like, um, a couple of those pharmaceuticals got busted for irregularities and such. So sometimes you got to be, you got to be questioned, like, what's how effective this shit is. I remember when like BJ talked about it was like a stopgap, but now is it improved? Fuck that. I'm wearing the mask. I still wear the mask when I leave the house. But yeah,
I don't know what you.
let's,
Just because
huh?
you call the dental dams, just because you call the dental dams mask, don't mean. Never mind. He probably got his dental dams too. Got his mask and everything going to work. But no, on a serious
Charles,
note.
Charles, I could tell you a really fucked up story during
Yeah.
Desert Storm. When I was in school, we had to carry gas masks when we went to school because we never knew when there would be a Scud missile attack. And we had a couple. And we were busting each other. And you could think about this: a bunch of first, second, and third graders busting each other's nuts, busting each other's balls about the type of gas mask each of us had. I remember, like, I had one that looked like the one from World War I with the trunk and everything. Funny ass shit. If anybody's been to the dentist, they know what a dental dam is. But anyway, on a serious note,
I know
Gavin,
it's kind of crazy because
RFK Jr.
I think he's more anti-establishment because he saw what happened with his family and how fucked up it left his family.
How many Kennedys are there that are in politics nowadays?
Good question, because they a lot of the Kennedys who
Yeah, well,
survived are the
especially
daughters are the daughters, so you never know. You never truly know.
JFK's daughter's still alive and has grandkids. Remember, his son died in a plane crash back in '99.
Yeah. Oh
JFK
yes.
Jr. died in the car.
So he died in a plane crash, and like, goddamn,
He died in a plane crash, just like his Uncle Joe.
it's something about that damn family, man.
Because remember, when the Kennedy, because like when the patriarch Joe Kennedy Sr. was thinking about his like political empire, it was supposed to be the oldest, Joe Jr., but he died in World War II during a plane crash. So it came up to JFK, the second oldest. After he was taken out, then the younger brother Bobby, or RFK, he gets taken out in the 70s, and then there was Edward, or Ted as he's called affectionately. And he just chose to stay in Congress. Although he had his scandals. In fact, there was a movie about that. But RFK Jr., we had to
Damn sure not a
discover
Kennedy.
Cornel West. No.
You're not a
Cornel
Kennedy
West.
unless you had a scandal. That's for damn sure.
Let's see. They sold liquor when it was illegal. They stole an election. Ted left a dead hoe in the car. There was a dead hoe in the car. Thank you, D.L. Hewley, for that joke.
Yep, definitely did.
That was bullshit. That shit was wow. I mean, like Bill Brenner said, don't smoke cigarettes. And I don't even smoke.
And don't leave
Or
the
like Ed
homes
Reed
and
said,
cars.
don't start smoking cigars until you handle your responsibilities in life.
Yep. And don't.
And he has his he still wears his like Super Bowl ring around his neck like that. Ed Reed. Probably
Like,
has his Super Bowl ring, just like his brother Reggie Wayne.
no more dead.
Got his Super Bowl ring. Man,
No more dead hoes and cars, please.
no more dead hoes and cars.
Ugh. Come here, you dead hoe. Oh no. Shit.
Keep in touch with Snowman in a while.
Yeah. He's healing up. Healing up pretty well.
Yeah. I just want to apologize in advance to Snowman because I'm sorry, man. Just like Deion Sanders would tell you about Shannon Sharp, I'm no good. I ain't no good. And he know I'm no good.
I ain't no good.
They were like, remember when Shannon was busted? Was like, just cracking jokes about, about Deion's missing toes and such. So no more flip flops, no more sandals for you, huh? Oh no, man. I'm tired. I'm tired. We haven't told a lot of them. Right? Like, all right, Civic. Goddamn nose. I mean, you got to learn to laugh at certain things like that. Although I know one thing for sure. It's like, what was it? I saw on, because I do follow Coach Prime on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
He started jogging a little bit. He's been getting, he's learning to jog again.
Oh yes.
And understand, Deion is
Especially
left-footed, and he is left-handed. So, yeah. What is it, 9 surgeries?
Oh yeah. How many
9
toes
surgeries.
amputated?
2 toes amputated, but they also have to do surgery on his calf. Because they have to remove clots out of his calf and such.
Oh.
They have to remove like a couple veins in the legs. I remember my mom had varicose veins and whatnot, and I remember because my mom's like 5'4", 5'5", and I remember she was like slightly overweight, and that was putting a lot of pressure on her legs and her knees and such. When she dropped a lot of that weight, she gained, she lost, the pain in her legs were gone. Or she had like issues with the high blood pressure, varicose veins. A lot of that was just gradually just subsided and such. So that shit is no joke. So yeah, he's like I know one thing for sure with Deion Sanders. We ain't gonna kick your ass. That foot gonna be in your ass a lot easier. He's gonna be putting that foot in the ass with ease. You might be missing 2 toes, but that's about as easy. He's gonna be squeezing it easily.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Let me get out of here and do some actual work, folks. If I'm up, I might start another one.
Yeah, catch.
Get out of here.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
Holler in a minute. Good
All
morning.
right. Good night.